obvious question that everybody is talking about is how COVID influenced the industry. Obviously, a lot of people started to use e-commerce because that was the only option. They couldn't go to a store. But how did you feel with like the companies that you are engaged with? What was their perspective on that?
I think when we talk about the influence of COVID, everyone tends to look back to March, April, and May of 2020, because that's when a lot of stores closed down. And I think it's important for people to recognize that there were not universal shutdowns across the United States. There were some areas that were more strict about enforcing those. So some places, some stores remained open. And in other places, some stores who carried things other than furniture, so they were considered essential, and they also were allowed to stay open. So certainly a significant portion of the business shut down at that time, and that changed the way people had access to product. So obviously e-commerce became much bigger in that period. The other thing that we saw as a result of COVID, and I think anytime you put people in their homes for an extended period, they look around and they think that sofa's getting kind of old and ratty. Maybe my mattress is not as comfortable as I thought. I'm really tired of that lamp. So as we saw people kind of spending more time in their homes, and even as stores and things opened up, I would say significant portions of people stayed more in their homes. They obviously traveled less. A lot of offices were shut down, so they were at work less, or they were working from home. So we've seen an explosion in interest in home furnishings. But at the same time, during that period when businesses shut down, I won't say all retailers canceled orders, but many retailers canceled orders. So when a retailer cancels an order, the people who are supplying them with that order then call their suppliers and say, I don't need fabric, I don't need foam. So you had this backward ripple effect where the entire supply chain kind of shut down. It's not just COVID itself, but there were trends already underway that COVID accelerated. So we had been seeing e-commerce grow significantly in this for several years prior to the pandemic, but that just became an exponential acceleration. There have been other things that aren't necessarily COVID related. For example, or let me say not directly COVID related, right? You've seen raw material prices increase. Whether that's wood, we've seen significant increases in the price of foam, right? So that's foam for bedding, foam for sofa cushions, all of that. And then when you had that deep freeze in Texas earlier this year, that impacted the flow of the materials needed to make foam. So all of these things have kind of combined to result in raised prices. So that segment of the business, even if you're a brick and mortar store, more of your business is being done through your website this year than it was last year.